What makes a good story? Or like just a good visual novel? These were the kind of questions I wanted to answer while I played through 999. 9 hours, 9 doors, 9 persons. If you don't know me already, my name is Walker. I'm a game dev myself, releasing my first ever game, a mystery visual novel, back in January of 2025. And I'm releasing a second part later on this year, maybe early next year, and I want to get better. I want to get better at the writing, right? And I've been trying to write some, and I've been scrapping the ideas. I'm not liking them a lot. And writing's hard. Being a good writer, making good mysteries is, and I wanted to see if I could learn from some of the best. That said, I want to tell you the story of what I learned from playing 999. And telling you a little bit about the game itself and some of my thoughts. So 999, as I'd like to call it, 9 persons, 9 hours, 9 doors, and I might have flipped that around a bit, is a visual novel originally released for the DS in 2010 by Spike Chunsoft. It's gotten a remaster since, and the remaster's good. There's a bit of debate other not which version's better. The remaster has voice acting, better visuals, the music's a bit updated. There's also ways to not have to replay the game for different endings. Yes, this is a game there's different paths. That's nothing crazy new, but you had to replay the game over and over from the beginning on the DS. But the DS has something unique a lot of people say makes it better, which is the fact that there are 2 screens, which is what the initial story and the biggest twists come from, is the revelations used with having 2 screens. One screen is the adventure mode, where you're basically just hearing character dialogue. The other is the novel mode, where you're basically just hearing narration. In the remake or remaster, you have to flip between the two whenever you want. Will sometimes be forced to change depending on the situation, but overall, I think the big twist at the end that I got to, which I won't spoil for now anyways, were so much better on the DS. But play either version. It's more accessible in the remaster. It's not a big deal. You can still wrap your head around it, because for the most part, though I will warn you, this is one of those games that definitely makes you go, huh, well, that happened. So the game opens with you playing as Junpei. He's just this guy in around maybe 1920, college student, wakes up on this ship, no clue why he's there, and all of a sudden water comes crashing in through his door. He needs to escape the room. A lot of what Zero Escape, the name of the series in general, as there's 2 sequels, the big concept gameplay wise is the escape rooms. One of the big selling points of the Zero Escape series is, well, escaping the rooms, the escape rooms. You ever done an escape room in real life? Well, you're basically doing a bunch of them here. You're in a room, there's stuff you need to do, there's little puzzles here and there within the room. Once you solve all of them, you can move throughout the room to the next one, or just escape in general. One of the big concepts you learn initially in this first room is the idea of a digital root number. Basically, a digital root number is the idea of if you take a 2-digit number and combine the digits of the first and second number, like 18 would be 9 because 1 plus 8. So 3 plus 7 plus 8 is 18. And then, like I said, 18 is 9. So the digital root of 3 plus 7 and plus 8 is 9. Though in this case, Junpei needed to find 5, as that's the same on his wristband. Junpei is eventually able to escape and meets 9 other people, all in the center deck of this ship. They all try to introduce each other and give each other code names to talk about what happened, what's going on, and it's really cool. You get to a quick sense of who everyone is, and I won't lie, some initial characters I thought would go one way, like 7. This guy is this big brute guy. I keep thinking to myself, this guy's going to be stupid. He's going to get in the way. He's going to ruin stuff for us. No, he was actually incredibly smart. He was incredibly kind. And sometimes, well, he would, maybe say something out of line. He tended to apologize for it. There was also Lotus, who's this dancer and kind of mean, oh, okay, I see where this character's going. But you get to know her a bit more, and you start to see, no, she's actually pretty caring, likes the group in general, wants to keep everyone safe, kind of the mother of the group, since, well, she's also a mother, as you find out later. There's also Ace, this cool old guy. I love his design. He's really fun. Snake, he's a blind guy. He's pretty cool. He's also got a prosthetic arm, which comes into play later in the story. There's Santa, who loves to shout and curse, and it's always really funny when he gets angry. There's Clover, who's actually Snake's brother. There's Junpei, as we already know, and his longtime best friend, Akane, who goes by June in this game. They're all going by code names based on the number number on their wristwatch up to 9. And there's also the ninth man, which we don't really get to learn a whole lot about, as he immediately tries to ditch everyone else and run through one of the big numbered doors that everyone needs to start moving through. Zero explains on the big speaker, the guy behind all of the games, how this works. They have 9 hours to get through 9 doors to escape, and there's 9 of them. You know, it's called the Nonary games, which basically means 9 games, right? So they need to escape in that way, but one of the constrictions is they have to go through these doors, through the digital route number, and only 3 to 5 of them can go at a time. If not, bad things happen. Well, number 9 guy seems to not really care too much about this, so he goes through the door by himself, and he quickly realizes this was a mistake. Because his wristband starts beeping. You can kind of get the idea of what happens, and yeah, he explodes. It's really gruesome, gross, but everyone starts panicking, and it's a whole thing. There's chaos everywhere. But one thing is true. We have to take the game seriously. We have to take the rules seriously. Why? No clue. But as you can imagine, as you go through the game, you'll start to get an idea of who these characters are more in depth, who Zero is. Tons of fun puzzles. Some of them, I'm not going to lie, a little too hard for me, and I had to look stuff up. But great music to listen to along the way as well, and multiple different endings to explore. There's 3 bad endings, so to speak, which don't really add too much to the plot and whatnot, but they're the generic endings if you don't do specific stuff. Whenever you get to a choice, usually of these big numbered doors, those are the choices that will determine the ending you get. It really doesn't matter until the final set of doors, but it matters in specifically the lore ending and the true ending. The lore ending basically gives you a bunch of lore about the game and whatnot that you need in order for the true ending. I don't want to go into much spoilery detail just yet because, one, if you haven't played this game or anything, I just want to talk about the overall gameplay itself and my experience with it and what I've learned. Simply put, initially, I love the characters. I think they were quick to the point on why you can care about them, what makes them interesting, and the hook of the game was so fun. It's so unique, and I genuinely think can carry a story, especially in the beginning. Even if it's a little slower, if the premise or the question that it asks is, why is this happening? What is the reason for this thing? Like, why are we on the ship? Why are we all stuck with wristbands? Who are these people? Who is the guy we're playing as? Who is Zero? Like, I want to know these questions, and I want to know their answers to them too. Because one, I'm playing a mystery game. I like knowing what happens. But two, because it's just such a unique concept. There's this very fine display of rules, and I want to see where the game goes from here. Not because I think it's a great game, yahoo, but it's the reason people like stuff like Hunger Games or Danganronpa, which kind of go in that similar vein of, this is a very surprising, unique situation. Here's how the characters are going to deal with it. Oh, I want to see that sort of thing. So I think the biggest thing is just always making sure in the beginning, in the first, hopefully minute if you can, what makes a hook good. Did I do that for my own game? Reflecting on my own, which came out, like I said, back a few months ago, not necessarily. I did try to do my best to not lore dump or exposition dump at the beginning. Believe it or not, I actually ended up cutting about half of the story down, at least the beginning part, because there was so much exposition and lore, and I didn't think it was really one of those things people needed to care about yet. I needed people to get into the world. Why is this world like this? Why are these characters here? Fall in love with the characters, get an understanding for who they are. Later on, we can go into the why they are. And that's what this game does. We learn who they are. Later on, we start to want to know, what are they? When are they? Where are they? Well, we know where they are, but why are they the way they are? I want to know this stuff, right? And as you go through the game, you get bits and pieces from the different endings. And I always thought that was really cool. And one of the things I'll take in that vein is make sure the reader or the player, whatever you want to call them, is always interested in what the next dialogue box is going to have. That's easier said than done. It's not always going to be the case, but when you can, try to. I know that kind of sounds simple, but you'd be surprised. I tried to open this own video with a hook, and I'm hoping, hey, we'll see if it does. We'll see if my YouTube analytics prove me right or wrong. Maybe I'll post a comment below. Regardless, I do think there are other really cool elements of the story, and I want to get into that, but It's going to be a little spoilery, guys. So again, if you haven't played the game, please go try it out. I gave you about an hour's worth out of a maybe 15, 20 hour game. Gave you the basic premise. After you get to the 4 or 5 door, go. Just go do your thing. Okay, they all gone? All right, let's talk about more spoilery stuff. So as they get to the middle part of the game, Snake disappears and we find that he died, and it was so cool because, as I learned from other people doing this too, you start to realize, okay, he must have been thrown through a door, but in order for that door to open, certain people would have had to. So I'm starting to do like on a notepad the different combinations and realize, oh wait, these people must be the killers and whatnot. And we keep tiptoeing, and then we get to the bad endings, specifically the 3 where one's Clover killing you, one's some mystery guy killing you, and the third is also a mystery guy killing you, but it also opens the door of possibly the idea that there are more people than just the 9 on the ship. 0, maybe someone else. There's also the captain that you find in one of the endings too. There's also this idea that I started to kind of get at this point. I think Snake is in this coffin. Once you get further into the game, towards the end, everyone finds the 9 door, whether it's you or one of the other members, and the room is kind of this. I think it's called the cemetery room. It's called the funeral room. There's a casket that keeps shaking. We never open it, but I have a good feeling, and I'm being genuinely serious. I had a good feeling of who was inside of it, but we can't really do anything with it. And Junpei and the others just like, huh, that's weird. Most coffins I know don't just shake naturally. Oh well, still, regardless, it definitely was clear at this point there were more people on the ship. And I did the first 3 bad endings, the default ones, where basically you can go in any order to get them. And I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. Like, what is going on? What are these people doing? Why are people going crazy? Why are we killing each other? And those 9 doors at the end kind of show that this is kind of pointless. The idea people were scared of during the story was that since you can only have 3 to 5 people go through a door, and door 9 is the one to get to the exit, only 3 to 5 people were going to make it through. 3 people were guaranteed to have to be sacrificed. Because keep in mind as well, once a room has gone through and people are on the other side, it's occupied. You can't go through it until they leave, which kind of a problem if you want to get through. But there's 2 9 doors. Everyone could have made it through. Every single person, even Niner who died at the beginning, kind of shows that this was pointless. But someone apparently is just not having a bad day, whether it's Clover or one of the other characters. Now, the next 2 endings, if you still haven't gotten, not convinced to try it out, please go do it. I'm going to kind of go through them loosely, as I'm going to expect either you've played it, but I'll still try to give a quick short summary. First, you need to do the lore ending, which I thought was kind of cool. I thought it was a little weird, like, okay, whatever. You guys, they want you to know the lore. They don't want you to miss out on it before you get the true ending. But as I learned later, no, it's really important for gameplay, actually, too. Long story short, you find a way to actually get Snake out of the coffin. As suspected, someone was swapped with his clothes. We get this idea from the fact that this captain and the person who got shoved through the door have the same clothes on, as well as this prosthetic arm that Snake had. I accidentally kind of spoiled myself after getting the 3rd ending of the game, which is Clover killing people, and someone mentioning, wait, wasn't there like stuff in one of these rooms that wasn't answered? And I'm like, wait a minute, maybe. Regardless, the big twist reveal, at least at the beginning of this ending, or when it starts to become, the actual ending, is that Ace is the killer. He killed us in all the other endings, besides the one with Clover and the axe, and also that he is behind the Nonary games. Not this one, but one from 9 years ago. Throughout the game, there's this conversations and stuff about telepathy, morphogenetic fields. If you've played the games, you kind of know the meme, and I find it really funny at this point. Like, 2 characters will be talking. It's like, oh, blue's your favorite color? That's really cool. Speaking of blue, did you know that in 1997 there was a European company by the name of Supala Bupala, and they did a scientific experiment on how pigs can fly? And here's like the detailed instructions on how they did that. Okay, now that was a joke of mine, but regardless, it tends to happen and it's kind of funny. But they all tend to be about morphogenetic fields. As you find out, Ace was the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceuticals, who were basically trying to test this idea that if one person has information, they can unconsciously send it to someone they're connected to in some way. His idea was little children, specifically twins, and he kidnapped 18 children to do this experiment. 9 of them in Nevada, 9 of them out at sea on the ship that we're on currently. Clover and Snake were one of them, and it's the reason he tried to kill Snake. What gets him outed specifically is the fact that he has prosopagnosia. Probably messed that up. The idea that you cannot recognize faces. He calls himself out in one of the endings about this a few times, where he says his age is starting to make it difficult to understand whose face is whose. And Junpei flat out tries to gaslight him, like what a gaslight is, not just like that fake thing people say, of like the fact that he's Santa and he just changed clothes. And instead of, saying like your voice is not his, or like, your face clearly is not, Ace's defense is, well, your number didn't match up with the door, calling himself out, and basically having Junpei explain, well, you probably accidentally killed someone else, not realizing it, just in Snake's clothing, which we find out is true later when we get to Snake, and we get this combination, and we open, and he's just in these weird dress clothes that's never actually touched on why he's wearing them, besides they just needed it out of his initial clothes, so that Ace would kill the other members of the pharmaceutical company that ran the experiments 18 years ago. But it's kind of clear they wanted Snake out of this outfit so that they could put the other people that were part of Cradle Pharmaceutical in the outfits that Ace would try to kill them, because they'd make him look, Snake makes him look bad, but that way Zero gets the revenge. And this starts to kind of, you get this sense of Zero is definitely trying to get revenge of some sort. It was probably one of the 9 kids on either sort, or from 9 years ago, but regardless. But one of the people included in that was the 9th man, which Ace convinced and gaslit into believing that Zero was lying about needing to go through the door with 3 to 5 people, causing him to explode. As he mentioned, someone lying to him of one of the 9 of us. Regardless, Ace isn't really happy at this point that he's been basically caught, so he tries to take Lotus and escape and go through the 9 door. As we try to go through it, we find Snake. Snake is revealed by Ace that Clover died during this ending, which makes him go into this complete rage, having 6 bullets in him and still getting back up and holding Ace until the both of them die together. The rest of us try to escape, but we find Akane, or June, unable to move and dying for some reason, just not really explained. I know why now, but Zero mentions the fact that he lost, which I always thought was interesting. But regardless, the big thing is the true ending. Okay, I'm going to try to quickly summarize this. There's a lot. Basically, June or Akane is Zero. Akane and Santa were part of the original Nonary game. Same with Snake and Clover back 9 years ago. And Akane was trying to escape, with 7 actually being a policeman trying to get all of the kids out of the game. Akane, unfortunately, was left in the incinerator room, the final room before the actual escape. And it's 9 years into the future. Again, same thing. We need to be in this room to escape. We find that there's a big twist with certain numbers not making sense and stuff. And there's this idea that Santa might be Zero, since his 3 is actually a 0 and June's is 9. And he mentions the fact that he lost his sister 9 years ago. And we get this parallel that a girl died 9 years ago, which, you start to ask questions of like, well, is this girl alive or not? Like, it's clearly Akane, but like, why is she still alive? Like, she made it out. Like, no? Well, it's kind of explained, kind of not. She has to do this one final puzzle, and I mean, she's bawling her eyes out, but, emotional, can't do it. Junpei has the same puzzle. Remember when I talked about morphogenetic fields? They start to have this little in sync moment. And this is where it's so cool. It's so cool, the big twist, because it's a hardware specific thing. Remember when I mentioned the DS and I thought the DS had the better twist or handled it better? Because the narration's always on the bottom. But during this part, even in the remaster, it still tries to do this, but it's way less subtle about it, is you start to realize, wait, this was never narration. It was Akane talking about what was happening to her 9 years ago. She was giving Junpei solutions to every other puzzle up to this point until she got stuck on this incinerator one. She needed Junpei 9 years into the future to give her the combination and code to the puzzle 9 years in the past. And I know it's kind of weird. It's hard to wrap your brain around, and I'm kind of making it super, super tight and fit. Again, I'm expecting you kind of know this stuff, but my jaw dropped at this. I thought it was like the music was so sad. The puzzle was weirdly easy. I was kind of actually annoyed by that. Apparently it was tougher in the DS version, but I realized, oh no, I should have played the DS one, because it just says in the corner, instead of novel and adventure mode, it says Akane vision and Junpei vision. It was that the whole time. It was never narration versus just character dialogue. No, it was just two different flat out perspectives from two different time periods. And it's really cool because from what I've been told, if you go through the game again, you start to get a little bit more of this, oh my gosh, wait, it really was her the whole time. And it makes Akane this so creepy of a character to me, in a good way, because she's not evil per se, just kind of revenge and also wanting to save herself. But it's this fact that like she's having this persona this entire time that she's innocent, sweet, clumsy. Well, no, she's like this mastermind character the whole time, and we never see it. Regardless, her and Junpei are able to escape. Junpei giving her the answer allows her to escape, which also means Junpei can, and she's the reason the 9 games started in the 9 years in the future, and I'll talk about that in a second. It is really confusing. But anyways, they leave, they get out, they realize they were in the desert of Nevada, actually, not on the actual ship, and they ride off with someone mentioned a few times, Alice, being in the distance, an Egyptian princess from a while ago. I skipped over a lot. There's Ice 9 I didn't talk about, as well as other stuff. A lot of it, I kind of forgot about Ice 9 before recording just now, because it, reality, isn't actually relevant. I think it's in the next few games, but, regardless, I haven't played those yet. The big thing, as many of you 999 or Zero Escape fans may be thinking, is, I have these questions, like, how did this happen, what's going to happen at the end? And then you get to the end, and then you're just like, WTF, man, like, what just happened? Like, what? That's the ending? What was that? And not in a bad way per se, it's just confusing. There's this time loop stuff. And another thing, which unfortunately I wish the game went into more, was one of the previous events was Santa, who we learn was working alongside Akane to set up the Nonary game. So he's like Zero's assistant, so to speak. Calls you out specifically because in the true ending, you get Snake out of the coffin. You've had no way in the true ending route to have gotten that information. You only got it through the lore ending. And he calls you out on other stuff. Hey, how did you know about this? You did not do anything during your time here on the ship that would have given you any idea that was a thing, unless you've done this game before. Oh my gosh, we're jumping timelines. They're merging together. There's this timeline loop. And I'm not going to lie, I like the game. I like the idea of it. But it does feel kind of like a blanket to kind of like not explain certain things. For example, a lot of the characters have a connection to the original 9 games. Lotus has a small one, her children participating in it, but Lotus herself didn't participate. So why was she in this new one, the second one Akane put on? Because she was there in the future. Akane saw that she put her there, so she had to keep it consistent so that she could escape, because Junpei needed to go the same route that he did already. It's weird because, we don't really, like, it's a time travel-esque type thing, and it can kind of leave you dissatisfied because, like, it's just basically, why did this happen? Why did Akane do this? Why did Akane do that? Because it happened. And, because you want to know, like, okay, if this happened in the past or happened in the future, what caused it? The future. It happens. It's just bound to happen. Destiny. I don't know. Can sometimes feel a bit less complete, less satisfying, but that's kind of the point of 9 hours, 9 doors, 9 persons. Again, I scrambled it up again. My apologies. Regardless, that is the game, and I genuinely loved it a lot. I thought it was tons of great twists. I thought the DS idea of like the different screens being different characters' perspectives, but you didn't know that for the whole game, was genius, was clever. Kind of makes me wish we could still have that in some way. Like, hey, I got 2 monitors. Could I have played it that way, you know? But still, I played the remaster. Still really fun. The voice acting was great. Japanese and English are both fantastic. The puzzles are really fun. They were kind of hard, but they were really fun, and they make you feel smart. And they got that Ace Attorney Danganronpa feel of like, yeah, I understand basic logic. And that's something I would hope to have in my game, is satisfying puzzles and or a satisfying payoff or reward at the end. I'm not big on the timeline stuff and time travel, and maybe I'll go into it in another video, but I've seen enough people complain about Sonic 06 enough to realize time travel stories, or stories that involve time travel in some way, are always so easy to screw up, because it's so easy to have these either plot holes or plot loops that just don't feel satisfying or conclusive. And now that's okay. There's more story later on, and I know the story continues in the later games. They're not isolated like games like Persona or Final Fantasy, so I'll be excited to try some of the future games. But regardless, I still loved it. I thought the characters were great. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Other than other things I learned were basically just, simply put, have satisfying payoff. I didn't like the way it did with the time travel, so you know what? I won't do time travel. But I will do my best to make sure characters are interesting, a theme and a hook that people can grab onto, asking these questions. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen? What is this character going to say next? What are they going to do next? Because every time I play this game, in my first playthrough, I'm feeling that the whole time. I want to know what the characters are going to do next. Always a great story when it feels that way. Regardless, that's the end of this video. I hope you liked it. I want to do more videos like this in the future where I try to learn from games and whatnot. And also, shout out to my editor, Meow. He's fantastic. Give him some love. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll be back with a video eventually. And also, lastly, I want to thank you guys for pushing me over 1,000 subscribers. It means the world to me. I'm monetized on YouTube. I'm really excited, and I hope to actually be able to potentially make this a career. Life kind of got in the way when it came to the big gaps in between, but I now have a team of fantastic, beautiful people that work with me. I'm ready to come back and do amazing videos. But here's what I'll end on. When I got done with writing this video, I checked my sub count, and I think this video was kind of destiny. I took a screenshot of it, and I'll leave you with that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.